Good morning. Welcome back to the morning show with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. All right. So, hopefully, you've had your cup of coffee, you've started your day, and hopefully, your day is going well. And if it's not going well, maybe I can help lift your spirits or not. Unfortunately, our topics for today is not a bed of roses, it's not pretty, but we got some things to talk about. First of all, the US dollar index is up 10 pips this morning at 105.51. We have the euro down 3 pips at 107.67, and the pound sterling down 14 pips at 124.96. The Aussie is also down this morning, down 18 pips at 65.83. Bitcoin futures down $395 this morning, trading at 62,970. And the Ethereum futures are down 30 and a half points this morning, trading at $3,032.50. Crude oil futures are up 19 cents this morning at $78.58 per barrel. Nat gas up a penny at $2.21. Gold futures off 10 cents this morning, trading at $2,324.50 an ounce. Silver is up 15 cents, trading at $27.70 per ounce, and it's at the high of the session. Copper is down 6 cents at $4.54. Dow futures up 68 points at 39,095. E-mini S&P 500 futures off a quarter point at 52.13 and a quarter. E-mini NASDAQ 100 futures up 18 and three-quarter points at 18,218 even. And last but not least, the Russell My Hustle is down 13.3 points at 2063.40. I don't know if you've heard the news, but looks like Tesla is in hot water. They're being sued. That's right, Elon Musk is being sued, and they are claiming fraud. Yeah, claiming fraud. This is interesting. The lawsuits are starting to fly all over the place, aren't they? The government suing companies, people are suing governments. It's just a mess. And did you know that top hedge funds are in the news as well because they're trying to acquire a certain entity? Yeah, Peloton has made the news. Some funds are looking to buy the company, take over the company. We got Mark Zuckerberg, who once considered acquiring the Associated Press. Did you know that? And get ready, home sellers, because this summer is not going to be fun for you. And yes, there is a lawsuit over swiping. From the moment the ink was dry on the law banning TikTok in the US, barring a sale, a legal fight was sure to follow. 2 weeks later, the popular app answered the bell. TikTok and its parent company, ByteDance, filed a lawsuit against the federal government. The legal battle set to unfold is a fascinating who's who of major business topics: government regulation of tech, check; US China tensions, check; the future of the creator economy, check. And the knock on effects extend beyond TikTok, impacting everything from President Joe Biden's reelection campaign to Apple and Tesla. But don't expect things to wrap up quickly. It'll take time for all this to work its way through the courts. And the TikTok US government fight pits two pillars of American society against each other: free speech versus national security. So the case for banning TikTok goes like this. The past decade taught us the incredible power of social media, from the data it collects on users to the information it pushes out to them. We also know foreign actors have leveraged social media to interfere with an election. That is the narrative that has been pushed. We've talked about that on this channel. TikTok plays on both of these fears. Not only is it a massively popular app that users seem to lose track of time on, but its parent company is based in Beijing, the capital of a country the US is not on the best terms with. Now, with young people turning to TikTok for news and China reportedly trying to influence US elections, you start to see where the concerns are coming from. Now, here's the case against banning TikTok. We can talk until we're blue in the face about the Chinese Communist Party potentially forcing ByteDance to share TikTok user data or influence operations on its behalf, but the US government hasn't provided evidence that that is happening. And TikTok maintains its data is safe and separate from outside influence. So, where's the beef? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? The US government never provides evidence. They just say, trust us, take our word for it. Just like the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that never happened. They were never there. It was used as a pretense for invasion and war. Meanwhile, TikTok has helped plenty of users earn money and launch full blown careers seemingly overnight. And who's to say this stops with TikTok? The threat of foreign influence might take the TikTok ban easier to swallow, but what happens the next time the government wants to exert some control over social media? Regulators haven't been shy about going after big tech. A successful TikTok ban could open the door for more aggressive actions against others in tech, just like how the FBI has offices inside of Meta, Facebook. Come on, man. Really? Really? And you want to talk about government interference? So it's okay for the US government to do it, but China can't do it? Citi's Jane Fraser isn't sold on a soft landing. The bank CEO remains hopeful the Fed can stick an economic soft landing, but acknowledged how hard it is. In the meantime, inflation is hitting lower income Americans the hardest. The people making key hires at the biggest hedge funds, well, big talent is hard to find. But from Citadel to Millennium, they're doing what they got to do. They're trying to build the next AI hedge fund empire. Because that's what it's boiling down to. Most hedge funds are pretty much automated, you know, just like the high frequency trading outfits. Everything's being automated now, folks. Is a recession coming? Well, a lesser known Piper Sandler indicator that's predicted the last 11 economic downturns just flashed red. But in better news, the firm's chief investment strategist still expects stocks to carry on racking up gains in the short run. In other words, this is the last leg up before the big leg down. Mark Zuckerberg once considered acquiring the Associated Press between 2017 and 2018, with Facebook under scrutiny for its role in the misinformation surrounding the 2016 election. Zuckerberg considered acquiring or permanently funding the AP. And then once again, who gets to decide what information is misinformation or disinformation? Who controls the narrative? Why is there no open debate or discourse on subject matters that are important to the American people? Well, new iPads are here. Apple unveiled new iPad Air models as well as iPad Pros with M4 chips and the first OLED display in the iPad lineup. The company also showed off new iPad accessories like a $129 Pencil Pro and a new Magic Keyboard. OpenAI destroyed a trove of books used to train its AI model. Newly unsealed documents in the class action lawsuit brought by the Authors Guild against the startup revealed it had deleted two huge data sets named Books 1 and Books 2 that had been used to train its ChatGPT-3 AI model. These documents also show that the two researchers who created the data sets are no longer employed by OpenAI. So the question is, what are they hiding? What are they hiding? Why destroy documents? And why did the people who created it leave the company? Very good questions to ask. Good luck trying to sell your home this summer. The age of insane bidding wars and huge concessions is coming to an end. As buyer options slowly increase, sellers may have to slash asking prices or wait longer for a viable offer to come along. Bob Iger has a new plan for Marvel. In Disney's earnings call, Iger announced plans to limit the number of Marvel shows and movies released each year. The company also reported mostly strong earnings, but its stock fell as much as 11% after announcing lighter than expected subscriber numbers. Less on booze, more on rent. Yeah, adults aged 25 to 34 spent their money in 1989 and 2022. Today's millennials are spending less on food and alcohol, but more on housing and healthcare. And that's really a bummer that Americans are having to face between eating and keeping a roof over their heads. Quite disgusting, if you ask me. So, if that is the case, where do we go from here? What's really happening in America? If between 1989 and 2022, people are spending less on food and more on rent. Come on, man. There's no one can see that there's a problem brewing here. And this is all happening here in 2024. This is all happening as the US economy slows down. Those at the bottom of the economic food chain are being hit the hardest. Homelessness is surging. The number of Americans living in poverty is rising, and more Americans are considered to be among the working poor than ever before. Unfortunately, we're witnessing a historic economic shift right now, and economic conditions are only going to get even more harsh during the months ahead. Needless to say, that is really bad news for all of us. According to a report from the Harvard University, approximately 650,000 Americans were homeless at some point last year. That represented an increase of nearly 50% just from 2015. That's a decade hasn't even passed yet. A January 25th report from Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies estimated that over 650,000 Americans experienced homelessness in 2023, and that's up almost 50% from 2015. Costs of renting and home ownership have skyrocketed while wages largely stagnate. So the wages aren't keeping up with the hyperinflation that they claimed would never happen when Peter Schiff was warning that it was going to happen. So the Harvard report found that half of US households are cost burdened, meaning that 30 to 50% of monthly income goes to housing, and 12 million people are severely cost burdened. These Americans stand one accident, health setback, or employment disruption away from eviction. During the past several years, scores of tent cities have sprouted like mushrooms in and around U.S. cities from coast to coast. One 32-year-old woman named Brandy that is living in a tent city near Winter Haven, Florida, says that she has been living there for 5 years and literally has nowhere else to go. 5 years. And isn't it interesting that 5 years ago started all this chaos that we're seeing now with the hyperinflation? Prior to 2019, we didn't have hyperinflation. After 2019, we have hyperinflation. This is Disgusting, ladies and gentlemen. Deep in the woods outside of Winter Haven, Florida, are a cluster of tents and tarps. There are 46 people that live in this homeless encampment, including Brandy, who has been there for 5 years. She stated that she just made a mistake and has been stuck there ever since. She's been trying to fix it and can't. She can't fix it. The 32-year-old said the homeless camp is not the safest environment, but it is somewhere she can lay her head at night. However, it could soon be taken away. They tell us, y'all know y'all fixing to have to leave. And they're like, so where do we go? That's right. The authorities have been bulldozing these tent cities all over the country and moving them and forcing people to move and arresting people. What is the crime? The crime is being homeless. America basically has criminalized homelessness. If you are homeless, you are now considered a felon. You have broken the law. Due to no fault of your own, you've broken the law. You got laid off, can't find work enough to afford rent, so you're homeless. Even though you may have 4 jobs, working as hard as you can humanly possibly work, but you're still not making enough to afford even a 1 bedroom apartment. These are the forgotten people that our politicians don't like to talk about, and their ranks are growing with each passing day. In Denver, for example, officials have spent $274 million to fight their homelessness crisis, but the area still added more homeless individuals than any other metro region in the county since 2018. You heard me right. Denver's homeless crisis has worsened and become among the most acute in the nation, despite the city of Denver contracting for at least $274 million from 2021 through 2024 to keep people off the streets. Now, the Denver metro region has added more homeless individuals than any other metro region in the country since 2018, according to key metrics collected by the federal government. Now, like we're seeing in so many other cities, mass migration has been playing a major role in Denver's homelessness crisis. We can't even come close to taking care of the hundreds of thousands of Americans that are already homeless, and more deeply impoverished people are constantly being allowed to pour over our borders. Meanwhile, the number of Americans that are living in poverty and the number of Americans that are considered to be among the working poor both continue to increase. This is a shame. This is a big shame. America's supposed to be the world superpower. How are you the world superpower when you have more people living on the streets than any other country or than all other countries combined? Even people in Calcutta, India, or in Kingston, Jamaica, have a roof, 4 walls, and a door. A shanty shack is better than a tent, it's better than a tarp. They have 4 walls and a roof and a door. In the poorest third world economies in the world, there are no homeless people sleeping on the ground. Everyone has a shanty shack with electricity. Think about it. Think about it. How are third world countries doing better than the United States of America? How? Make this make sense. Can you? No. More than 11% of Americans are officially impoverished, and another 29% are asset limited, income constrained employed. Now, over time, higher cost and sluggish wage growth have left more Americans financially vulnerable than any other time in American history, and they had to give them a name called Alice's. Now, nearly 40 million families, or 29% of the population, fall in the category of ALICE, which is asset limited, income constrained employed. Now, according to United Ways United for Alice program, which first coined the term to refer to households earning above the poverty line but less than what's needed to get by. Now, that figure doesn't include the 37.9 million Americans who live in poverty, comprising 11.5% of the total population, according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Do you understand what this means? More than 40% of the entire US population is either homeless, living in poverty, or among the ranks of the working poor. That's more than 40% of the entire US population, folks. Are you still in denial that the United States of America has fallen and is collapsing right before you? This is staggering. The middle class is being absolutely eviscerated. It doesn't exist. It's been taxed out of existence, hyperinflated out of existence, and a lot more pain is on the way. This is just only the beginning. Former Merrill Lynch chief economist David Rosenberg accurately predicted the recession that hit us in 2008 alongside Peter Schiff and others. And he is now warning that things are about to get really, really bad in this country. In fact, even though the Biden administration is telling us that the economy added 175,000 jobs last month, he is convinced that the economy is actually bleeding jobs. That's right, you heard me right. The U.S. economy added 175,000 jobs last month, shy of economists' forecast of 238,000. In notes to clients Friday, the former Merrill Lynch chief economist explained why he views the numbers as a cause of concern. Now, he said the data is inconsistent with numbers coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics quarterly census of employment and wages and business employment dynamics data sets, both of which stated the economy actually lost jobs in the third quarter. Now, given the disparity here, Rosenberg said the data is likely overstated by historical proportions. You have to agree with him on this one. Large companies all over America have been conducting mass layoffs. And the numbers that we are getting from sources that are not controlled by the Biden administration clearly indicate that the economy is losing jobs. And I'm also convinced that our economic problems will accelerate significantly as we head toward the end of this year. A perfect storm of factors is hurting economic performance all over the world, and I anticipate that global turmoil is only going to become more intense as the months roll along. So then, what is the bottom line? Or like Francis Schaeffer used to say, how then shall we live? Well, the bottom line is that more Americans will soon be homeless, more Americans will soon be living in poverty, and more Americans will soon be among the ranks of the working poor. Our standard of living is steadily declining, and if you want someone to blame you, you can blame those that are currently running the show in Washington, D.C. That is the reality, ladies and gentlemen. And as you know, on this show, we talk about difficult things. We don't avoid it or run away from them. We deal with them head on. We talk about the things that other people don't want to talk about. It's uncomfortable, I know. It doesn't feel good, I know. But you have to deal with it. And if that isn't enough, then you have so many Americans that are physically broken in their bodies. You have so many Americans on disability. Did you know that? Disability benefits. They're broken. Their bodies are broken. Their minds are broken. And then on top of that, we have a healthcare crisis. And I'm not talking about the pandemic of the last 4 years. I'm talking about a different kind of healthcare crisis. We're talking about the exploding rate of cancer in the United States of America. More on that in our next episode. You know what it is. The system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And on that note, I'm out. Peace.